I was just thinking
Last time I ever started on time.
It doesn't.
Huh?
Wasn't here to remind you, yeah.
So it's your fault. Okay, we're gonna call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Carla here.
Karen here.
Jerry here.
Kathy here.
John here.
Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Carla, aye.
Karen, I.
Jerry, aye.
Kathy, I.
John, aye.
Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Carla, aye.
Karen, I.
Jerry, aye.
Kathy, I.
John, aye.
Okay. City Hall space study.
After we completed goal setting, you'll recall that the potential of combining the City Hall with the Police Department was one of the goals that was identified as a high priority for the next couple of years. So I reached out to IW. Mike Rubin is here, he's one of the architects on their staff. So we met with him on site. Chief Comer was also present when we met. And so we just talked through the potential for combining our offices with PD offices. Mike and I had discussed some of the operational advantages to that, and I know I have kind of informally discussed it with several of the council members. So I talked to him about a space study, knowing that a space study would be used to basically provide data to the council, information on which to make the decision, so that it's not based on eyeball measurements or what we think might fits there. Him or any architect has the ability to provide us that information more scientifically, so you guys are able to make the decision that you think is best for the city and the residents. So that's what this study, we're really aiming this study would do. I will let him walk through the scope. It is pretty self-explanatory. It's a good plan. So then he or I can accept your questions after he walks through the scope.
And I'll do this at a real high level. So in a nutshell, what we'll do is we'll have several meetings and develop a program. And that program will consist of program spaces that a committee will be formed, and they'll help us go through that program and identify the spaces and the sizes for the program. From there, we'll draw a bunch of conceptual floor plans. We'll take that information. And right now, we're looking at providing maybe 4 different floor plans. One would be taking that program and seeing if it fits within the existing building and the existing police department building without a lot of modifications. The second floor plan would be taking that data, that program data, and see if we can fit that in that building without doing a lot of remodeling. The third floor plan might look at gutting the entire building to see what it would look like to get that program within that building. The fourth plan would look at putting an addition on that building. Now, as we go through that process, we may find out that there's a combination of all of them, and we develop a fifth one. It's a combination of all of those plans mixed together. Once we get set on a floor plan, then we'll go back to the office and do a statement of probable cost. What is it going to cost to do to design that plan? Now, is everyone familiar with the building? It's the building itself is about a little over 4,000 square feet. In the garage area, you have about 1,600 square feet. In the office area, you have about 2,500 square feet. Just to put that in perspective to the space that you currently have here, this chambers, I just walked this off before I came in, so I didn't measure with the tape. I just walked it off, and you have about 1,400 square feet in this room. And the offices behind here, you have about 1,000. Now, there's no circulation really in that office like you have in the police department where you walk through a corridor. So you have to think about circulation in that 1,000 square feet when we relay this square feet in the office space right now. So just off the top of my head, I believe that we'll be putting an addition on. And another thing that you might want to consider is the site. You have 10 parking spaces down there with 1 handicap spot. And the site plan that we have, there aren't dimensions on it for the property line, so we're going to have to do a little bit of research to find out where the property lines are in relationship to the building, to see if we can put an addition on one, and how large that addition could be. So in a nutshell, that's what that study will contain.
I would not be in favor of spending more money on that building at this point.
I had a question on the compensation portion here. It's $12,250 and a lump sum of $3,000 is due, but then in the next paragraph you say you forego the remaining $9,200. So is it just $3,000 is all you're going to charge us for designing?
Yeah, typically in small communities, and we do this with a lot of the small communities that we work in. A community, I'll use DeWitt as an example. We did a police station for DeWitt 3 years before they had all of the funding in place for that building. They wanted to do a study similar to this. So we did a study for them. They didn't have a lot of funds. So what we did was we said, okay, we'll charge you X amount of dollars right now to get you going until you get the funding. But if you choose to go with somebody else, we just expect to be paid for the time that we have it in. If you decide to use us, then we will forego those dollars and then enter into an AIA agreement with them to finish the documents. So if you choose, if we go through the study process, you'll pay $3,000. If in a couple of years you say we're not doing this, we're done.
I would kind of like to think about tabling the whole thing until the police department's paid off, at least. You know, I'm not saying I don't want to do it at all. I don't like the idea of going down there. I think it's moved backwards. But maybe we ought to just get it paid off and then look again whether we want to do a study on it. That's just me. I don't.
Well, we could do the study now and just keep it on the back burner until.
Yeah, but if we wait till the police station's paid off, Mike's crew is settled in and they know exactly by then what they need. He hasn't been there long enough to really know what he needs. I mean, he does. If you give it a year or two before we do anything and get what we owe on it paid off before we start tearing it apart.
Yeah, but if we do the study, it's $3,000. I mean, we have a better idea as long term. Is it going to fit? Number one.
So,
What do we have to do down there? Do we have to tear walls out, or is it addition,
yes,
or is it something that we can just make work?
it's less space than we have now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why are we even looking at it?
He's pretty positive that you're gonna have to do an addition.
Well, it depends. Would you, Peter, if I just show you, can I approach
It's
the?
fine.
Yeah, come on
But
up.
my idea was, you know, maybe one office or something moves down there, so there's somebody down there to help out.
So you have, and I don't want to say that this is a given or we're going to do this, but there are some examples in here where if you had 1,000 square feet, and that's all you were going to have, we were going to use the existing space in here as a program. Let's just say, just for the sake of discussion, that that's your program. We got 1,000 square feet that we want to put in there. If Mike could live with all of his vehicles sitting outside, you got 1,600 square feet from that. Now, you also can take a look at, is Mike fully utilizing this existing space and the offices in here? And if he's not utilizing all of these offices, maybe you have a portion of that program here and only take 2 of those bays. I mean, there are lots of options that you can look at.
I'm not in favor of the police vehicle sitting outside at all.
I agree with you.
Well,
I'd say it's an option. It's something
Right.
that you can discuss.
But by spending the $3,000, getting the plans done, A, B, C, D, or whatever it is, then we have an idea.
I'm just not in favor. I want to get the police station paid off before we spend any more money on it. And looking at scenario right now. Why move? We just spent money to fix these offices up. I mean, what would be our hurry now? And the needs might change in 2 years. We get the study done now, their needs change in 2 years, and we gotta get it done again.
It'll cost you 20% a year,
To wait.
extra cost every year, so you go 5 years, 100%. Pick your own poison. But the costs are going up all the time. And you're not gonna get it done cheaper. So if you spend the money now or spend it later, you're gonna spend a hell of a lot more in 5 years or
Do
2
you
years.
really think there's
She's
enough
not-
space down there? Hey,
What's
Jim,
that?
do you really think there's enough space down there? For the police department and city hall?
Yeah, but you pick your own.
Parking space? There's only one access.
There's grass
I think-
around the
I
backside.
don't see that to have the study done now, so we can sit with what our options are. And whether it's a year, 2, or whatever we decide that makes sense, we will know what the options are that best fit us. We can decide, at that point, I mean, the study's not gonna go to waste, right?
Right.
We may even take the study and say, yeah, you're right, absolutely not, it makes absolutely no sense to move down there. But we don't know until we're given options.
And we all rated it
Why do we
high.
wanna do this?
We all rated it high on that planning when we sat down with those 3-4 meetings.
We wanted to move some city offices down there because it was pretty much empty at the time. That's why we wanted to move some city offices down there, not because,
This study's just gonna let us know how much and what can we move? What can actually be done?
When do we do our goal setting?
Yeah, that was just finalized a couple months ago, and that's just what I definitely, or hope you remember, this wasn't actually staff driven. It was the idea of multiple council members that we consider this for a number of reasons. I think everybody knows it's positive. I mean, the location is great, it's very visible, you know, that's becoming more of the main strip all the time. Having the staff together has some benefits, but you know, we knew space is going to be an issue. So, like all the issues you're bringing up, parking, access, yeah, these are absolutely valid questions. We just know for a fact we don't have the expertise among the 6 of you and us. We don't know the answer to those questions. So that's what this provides. I mean, and this is like I'm starting to ramble, but yeah, that's why we would want to get these questions answered. So, I mean, I want you to, all of those questions are absolutely valid. We just don't know what that all looks like, and there's really no way to be able to get that data without pay a professional to help us.
At that time, I think we thought the building was sitting there empty, and it pretty much was. But then since then, we've redone this.
But
And we brought Mike on, so we don't know.
Right, we
We
had
knew all along-
pretty staff before, though. It's no more empty than it was now.
We knew all along that police
I'm
department was
confused
gonna
what's changed since you were one we.
I think the fact that this is probably gonna cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's
But what
what
is
this is
not
gonna
though,
cost.
Study.
a plan he just discussed with me though is like they have a booking area we don't book. It's not utilized. So there are also options where that becomes, and that and part of the evidence room become an office. Again, this is all like possibilities until the measurements and
I don't see the office personnel here moving into offices together down there, because here you wanted separation, which you got. So I don't want you moving down there and bunching everybody together. There's a lot of space down there that could probably be used, but for him to say, if you're gonna utilize the space down there now, you're gonna leave the police vehicles sitting outside, and then we're going on to gutting the whole thing and additions.
those are just options. We don't know what
options,
options.
yeah,
We don't know what options.
he's not gonna do it, he
So-
just
Right,
give us the
for
option.
him to bring it up means that there's,
That's the possibility.
that's a
Well,
possibility.
you know, it'd
That's
be nice
more
to,
of a possibility
it'd be nice to,
than using the existing
I think
office.
everybody here, including Mike, doesn't want to gut that building, but it has to be presented again for a thorough, consideration of options, because it obviously can be done. I don't want to speak for Mike, but the building is beautiful, so retaining, I mean, we don't really want to go backwards, just as Karen said. That's absolutely correct.
I wish someone would have brought this up when that building was started.
Well, I think, like I said, everybody's concerns are valid. I hope you guys understand that, you know, with goal setting, we set these goals out there, really, we want to try to make these decisions, you know, based on information. So this is how we're going to have to get it, whether it's this, whether it's park or something. We have to collect information, and oftentimes that involves paying a professional to do it. So as long as, I mean, I'm comfortable with whatever you guys are comfortable with. I told you that. We know this isn't like, we don't have a timeline beating down our door. It's not like we're in a hurry, but there is no other way for us to get this information. So it just, you guys need to think about how far out you want to plan, how soon you might want to make a change with City Hall. Those are all things that only you guys can know.
So realistically, when we get a plan, we get our options of 3 or 4 different options. How long would you say those options are good for? Lifetime?
No.
I mean,
you can't, it's tough for me to put a timeline on that because the building codes change. And so the likelihood of the building code changing for this type of a project, it's office space. So the likelihood of that changing within the next code version, which will be, I believe, 2021, it's pretty small. The code typically changes to protect light. And so we see a lot of sprinkler systems going in, and now the big thing is energy consumption. And so the code is changing to make buildings more energy efficient. But I don't want to say that it's good for 10 years because it may not. The gentleman here that raised the question about cost is true, and we're seeing construction costs just skyrocketing. I want everyone to understand that I'm not advocating for anything here. All I'm here to do is to provide possible options for your consideration.
and I'm not talking about costs. I'm just talking about layouts, like the designs that you come back with as the option. Those are pretty much, once you design an option, it is what it is, unless there's a major
It's a code, unless there's a big
code thing, right?
code item.
Well, but if you came to us and said, it's not gonna work in this building, you'd have to put on an addition, that's good for forever pretty much, isn't it? I mean,
But that option is
Unless the code changes.
right. But it's not gonna change the fact that we need to put on a 5,000 square foot addition or something like that.
No, unless your needs drastically change here.
Personnel.
One thing you want to be careful of, and when I'm working with small communities and we're looking at these studies, I wouldn't want to have you go through the study if you're going to say we're not going to do this for 5 or 10 years, because then I think I would be telling you that you might want to wait a couple of years before you would do the study, unless you need it for budgeting or you need to make a decision on some strategic plan that you may have. Because it's difficult. We don't know. We're pretty confident in 3 years that this thing won't change. But when you start getting out 5 years or 10 years, then it's a crystal ball. So then it's your gut. I don't know this municipality like I know DeWitt, and I've worked in DeWitt for a long time, so I understand their strategic plan. Yours, I don't understand your strategic plan very well, so I don't feel comfortable saying, if you're doing this in 5 years, I would say up to 3 years.
Wendy, what year is it paid off?
It will be, we have 3 more July payments, so it'll be 2024.
2024? Why don't we table this then till we get paid off? I make a motion to table it till we get the police station paid off.
I second.
24 is quite a few years out yet. Do the study in 24.
we've got a motion and a second.
Karen,
Jerry, nay.
Kathy,
John Ray.
Okay, I guess we're gonna table it.
Your interest is a lot damn cheaper than the cost, or project will cost. So you pick your own poison. You're gonna be backwards either way.
We gotta do something with that traffic down there
It's
first.
cheaper to pay the interest than do it.
But we need to do something with our traffic situation first.
Like I said, it's cheaper to pay interest.
What traffic are we talking about?
We gotta get a turning lane down there. We only got one access and it's right on the corner where it probably shouldn't even be. And the congestion down there is terrible. You got the trains, they back up everything. It's just not, if you're there every day, you see the congestion and the mess. If you're not there every day, you probably don't see it because you're not there at the peak times. But we gotta get a turning lane going into Birds Road for one thing. And we really, I don't know where we put it, but we need another access point.
To the
We
police
put
station.
everything down there in City Hall and the police station.
Another
Fire
access in the
department has
police station.
problems now. They can't get out. If there's a train on the track, they can't get out. They have to have trucks and everything on the other side of the tracks. It's,
Well,
Every
they-
town that has a train through the town
Has the same problem.
things on both sides of the tracks. That's an evident thing, because if the train's there, they can't get across, and there's life.
but I'm saying you can't get to Birds Road if it's backed up. You can't go around. You can't get up.
They
this
can't
way.
make that corner?
If they've got a long train, if the tracks are blocked, they can't.
Normally, the cars stop before and after that,
If
though.
you have people who know the area, they'll stop and let you through, but if it's big, if you got two big trucks, you blocked off Brady Street. If you got three, you're probably blocking off Birds Road by the time the cars get there.
Well, legally, you're not supposed to block the road anyway, so that's a violation, right?
You know, that ain't gonna help on the fire trucks trying to get up Birds
I
Road.
understand that, but legally, you're not supposed to block the intersection.
But long-term plan, talking here, we're already planning on doing a turning lane. We're trying to address some of these things you're bringing up, so.
But why do a study if we're not having paid
Why
off
not
to
do a study? That way we
2024?
can put it in with the rest of the CIP stuff that we're gonna be talking about. Now we just foregoed it and we're still, it's a crystal ball. We don't know how much money, or if it's even feasible down there.
Why don't we
I don't see any
put those
forethought.
down?
We're always gonna have bills. And $3,000 as far as a large city like we have here is minimal for the amount of information that we're gonna get and long-term
Well,
planning that we're gonna
let's
be able to
just table
have.
it for a year then. Would that be better than tabling it to 20?
Well, I guess I sit up here and I struggle with some thought process here. Is 3 months ago, 4 months ago, we had an issue with the playground equipment, and you were, your hair was on fire, but we need to replace the playground equipment
That sure aggravates you.
for something.
That bugs you, don't it?
It does, because it was
It
a
was
non-budget.
unsafe.
It was a non-budgeted item for $70,000, and we got a $3,000 item here for looking forward into the future, and you're saying, no, we don't want to do it.
That
But
was-
she's saying that because the money for that project is not gonna be allocated until after this project is paid off.
How do you know that?
Yeah,
What if we can get a grant between now and then?
but we don't have our study done, we don't know what we need
Yeah,
to get it done.
we don't know.
Why do we want to move down there? That's what I don't understand. I mean, I can see putting an office or two down there if they help out the police department so somebody's there. But I can't see City Hall moving down to that location.
But who would you put down there? From here?
Well, either permits or city administrator.
So why would we separate the city staff, the city office staff, from one building to the next?
Because we got empty space. That's what started the whole thing. We're sitting down there with empty space.
No, it was more of a
More
central
of a central
point of the town.
location.
That's,
It is, it's literally the center
It's
of
more of the central location of everybody being in one spot.
For
and
me,
you
it
know
was the
what?
empty
If that
space.
Thunder Hills interchange comes in, it's gonna change the whole face of the city.
And when is that coming in?
There you go. About the time you get that police station figured out.
What's that mean?
When we get that in there, and when we move down there, they'll put the interchange in, we'll want City Hall somewhere else.
Well, then we'll adjust. You gotta be able to adjust. If you're not willing to adjust,
We're
If
fine.
If you were
we're-
gonna do an
we're
addition,
okay.
would you do an addition?
They just got their offices
or would
done,
you
we're
do an
okay.
addition?
Yeah, there was minimal expense for offices.
I can't answer that question.
I mean, I
They
don't know
did
how
put a
much
door,
space
put a
there
wall
is
up.
down there for
And
that.
that,
And cleaned out a
my
storage.
issue right now.
Yeah.
I don't know what the property lines are at, so I
I
is
don't
it possible to do one?
Where are you gonna be?
Is it possible to go up?
That's why I wanna find out. I wanna see the study. I wanna see what they do.
I don't know the site. It
Don't
appears
get
to be
me
go
going.
up. Okay.
$3,000.
I'll
not
just
much.
get in trouble.
But it's been tabled, so we should probably move on.
All right. Renewal and insurance review, Adam Kearns.
Good evening, everyone.
Adam?
Before I dive into anything, does anyone have any questions for me? Threw a lot of information at you right away, but I want to try to address anything before I dive into a little bit of the differences and what we explore.
Yes. So on the primary, the ICAP primary limits of $2 million with $3 million excess. The $3 million you said is an aggregate?
Yes.
The excess is an aggregate.
Yeah.
So walk me through what that means.
Yeah, so essentially what that means is, okay, so if we were ever to have something catastrophic happen, okay, because you have a liability limit, you have an auto liability limit, you guys have a limit, you have your public officials, you have the police, okay, so those are basically anything with a liability, okay? So I'll walk through a claims example. Let's say we have someone, for liability purposes, hit $2 million, okay, or we'll say 2.5 million, okay? So we have our primary, which is 2 million, okay, for the liability. Then we had $500,000 hit our excess, okay? Now we eroded out our excess, and we now only have 2.5 million. So if we have another catastrophic event happen where, okay, someone sues U.S. counsel for $3 million, we're gonna have now that 1.5 of excess be eroded. You know, $1 million for you guys, $500,000 for the liability. Now all of a sudden, if we end up having another catastrophic event and we have it be a $5 million, you guys only have 1.5 million left in that excess. Okay.
That's what I thought. So is that a concern? So we don't have a straight $5 million limit. We have a straight $2 million limit with the excess.
You
God
share.
forbid anything happens, erodes. So we, if we have, God forbid a couple catastrophic events, we don't have $5 million for every event. We have $2 million for every event, and then the other $3 million gets shared over the rest of the events.
And then the extra $3 million for aggregate, right?
No, that's what I'm talking about, is the aggregate. $3 million is the
Oh.
aggregate excess.
So
So we have $2 million in everything that happens here, we have $2 million, correct?
Yes.
So if, one of our public works people hits a little boy and we get sued for $4 million.
Yep.
So we're gonna have our $2 million underlying it, take care of it. And then 2 of the 3 of the excess gets eroded. So now, going forward for the rest of your, we'll have $3 million. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense.
You'll have $3 million?
No, you have $1 million left.
Like
in
$1
So we
million.
have $1 million as an excess. Because you
As the
eroded
excess.
$2 million.
Right.
But we still have the 2 million primary
Right.
or underlying limit. Yeah.
So what do cities this size typically do? I mean, is that normal at 3 and 5 or 2 and 3?
Yeah, so obviously it's going to vary greatly based on size. For your guys' size, this is typically what we see. Okay, I mean, yes, it sounds scary, and I think John would probably agree. The chances of us having something major like that happen, probably not likely. But it's something that when I'm comparing these 2 programs is a concern. Okay, so I'll use the example. So we went to ICAP, obviously that's where we're at. Okay, so we got some pricing from them. We also went to EMC, and they handle quite a few cities in the state of Iowa. Okay, we went to them, their pricing was pretty comparable, actually a little bit more than ICAP. I didn't bring them to present because I didn't want to overwhelm you guys. There was no way we were going to move forward with them if we would get similar pricing from ICAP. We're comfortable with them, and their program wasn't superior. Okay, I also brought Continental Western, okay, and they have a city program as well. How their limits work, okay, is you have primary limits for each coverage. Okay, so for the example that we were using, let's say the public works person did hit someone, okay, and you have 2 million here, plus we use that 2 million excess. Where their primary limit is 5 million, okay, and it's not shared. You guys have a $5 million limit. General liability has 5 million. Police have a 5 million. Okay, so that's
But that's per occurrence, correct?
correct.
which means for every time something happens, you get a straight $5 million limit. Doesn't erode.
So yes, and that's what, so essentially what, with the Continental Western program, you're gonna have better limits, okay? There are some nuances, and so let me walk through the differences, and I included, let me start first with pricing, okay? Because that's really the biggest thing. And honestly, when you're looking at these, we can debate back and forth all day long on what's better with this and what's better with that, okay? So first I want to walk through the pricing to show you what the differences are just in premiums. Then you can make a better educated decision, on what do we need to give and take for those, okay? So I do need to make a correction on the Continental Western, and I'm assuming you guys all have this in front of you. It's basically the second page. So the Continental Western program, when we reviewed that, there were a couple pieces of equipment that were missing, and so essentially you need to add about $516 to that price to give their total, estimated at $36,472. That's compared to ICAP's, total premium. This is including their voucher or their discount that they're having there. Continental Western doesn't have that. Okay, so their price is their price. ICAP's is $42,292.50. Okay, so essentially we're talking about $6 grand in premium, or roughly around 15%. Okay, so I'm going to walk through a couple of the differences between those programs, and really the biggest one that I would point out is exactly what John pointed out, is those limits within our primary versus excess. So we match the limits that you guys have now, so there's not truly an umbrella or an excess for Continental Western. Okay?
Straight $5 million?
Straight $5 million across, yeah. So the biggest differences on page 3 of what I provided for you guys is your property deductible with ICAP is $500, okay? For Continental Western, it's $1,000 unless you have a wind or hail claim, and that's gonna be $2,500. Their justification is, hey, we're able to control our pricing, and I took this as a little bit of a sales pitch, so bear with me. They say, hey, we have a little bit higher deductible, so we can manage our property premiums a little more. It is what it is, and in fact, they just probably don't feel comfortable with lower deductibles. And that's why they threw the wind and hail deductible on there, because you're gonna see more claims basically with hail, okay? And they just don't wanna pay, they can say $1,500 each time you were to have an occurrence there. That's why it's there.
Do you know how many wind or hail claims we've had in the last 5 years?
I don't think we've had any. We touched on number 2 already, talking about the limits there. Okay. Under Continental Western, under the fire station, since it's a metal roof, and we're seeing this more and more, they're basically going to exclude any cosmetic damage. Meaning, if we have a hailstorm come through and there's dents on the roof, it's not jeopardizing the integrity of the roof. There's going to be leaks, we're fine, it's okay, but there's dents on there, they will not cover that. Okay. Right now, Continental Western, they're going to exclude med payments for youth activities, but that's still going to be covered. Basically, it's just that goodwill payment of $5,000. Hey, here's a couple $1,000. I'm sorry you got hurt. Go away. They're excluding that. Okay, not a big concern of mine. I just want to get out. Continental Western, they also have their property limits just a little bit higher. So they did a building evaluation, and again, we tried to match as close as possible. But then they actually increased the valuation of this building and the police based off of what they did. Now, ICAP will also, here soon, if we stay with them, they're going to do building valuations on all our buildings that are over $150,000. They've hired a company called Northwest Building Valuations to go through and actually go detail each building, again, over that $150,000 limit, and do cost estimators, okay? It's a nice way to make sure that we're insured to value, okay? It's also a way for ICAP to capture probably some more premiums. Other than that, the biggest things when we switch from ICAP to Continental Western, ICAP is basically written on a claims-made basis, okay? Where Continental Western is on an occurrence basis. The easiest way to describe this is if we have something happen, I'm gonna use real dates here, we renew on November 1st. If we have something happen in October, okay, and it hasn't been reported yet until November, Continental Western is gonna pick up any prior acts up to 5 years for this. And it's really gonna be big for liability, okay? The biggest concern is with that is, do we have any open claims? Okay, if we have any open claims and we make a transition to Continental Western, those open claims will not be covered because we're going to basically say we're switching ICAP off on November, or October 31st. We're moving to Continental Western on November 1st. Okay, we do have one open claim. Okay, it's where we had the individual pulling out some roots or a tree here at this facility and struck the fiber optic or telephone cable, and right now that claim is reserved at $2,376. Okay. We have been pushing them to try to close that. The latest was actually this afternoon. I said, we've got to get a report what's going on with that. And they said, hey, we're trying to negotiate. I can't remember if it's Mediacom or the basically the provider there on getting this reserve or this lower the payment because they think it's just outrageous to fix that was $2,300 essentially. So they said we're hoping to get that closed in the next 2 weeks. Okay. With that being said, I would factor that cost into your decision if that claim doesn't get closed. And again, we will do our absolute best if you guys make a decision to move over to Continental Western to make sure this claim gets closed and get it closed quickly. Okay. Unfortunately, ICAP, they could drag their feet. I don't foresee it happening, but it could happen. Okay.
So is Continental Western claims made or occurrence?
They're on an occurrence basis. Yep. And so in their policy, and I can get to that. If we go all the way to the back, it's almost probably 7 or 8 pages to the back. You'll see on some of their forms where it'll say, prior acts for 5 years. And it's going to pick up anything that is not reported and unknown. But if it's known and we have an open claim, then they're not going to pick that up.
Is there anything that we can buy that would help protect us on that for any unknown?
So the unknown I'm not concerned about because they're going to cover 5 years prior acts. So they're going to cover that for you guys. They're going to cover that for law enforcement as well. So
is that we can buy to protect us for this open claim?
I mean, you could, but it's only $2,300. So you would probably exhaust a lot of that, those dollars in just premium, because most likely to be able to go out and it's really not even a tail coverage, it's going to be kind of what we call nose coverage. You're probably going to exhaust that dollar amount in just premiums. So.
And I've had some conversations. Mediacom hires this other company to try to recoup their dollars, and this was a kind of gray area deal anyway. So I'm not so concerned with that claim. I've had some headway with the contractor they're using about just getting it either split or so. I would be my belief that that's going to be resolved. We've been working on it a long time.
Yeah, it's been open for a couple months, I think.
Yeah.
So
it should be. I guess last time I spoke to them too, they had a resolution, but they were waiting for some supervisor to have to come back to sign off on it. But
So having the fire, or are we concerned about the fireworks sponsorship or detonation with the Peosta days?
we have never actually had any coverage.
So we have coverage. We just don't have coverage for the detonation. So, but we as a city are not having the police or public works set off the fireworks, correct? I'm assuming no. Oh no. So we have the coverage. It's really just that detonation will come out of Western. So ICAP is covering it. They're covering your display, okay, not actually the detonation.
So Continental Western would be covering the...
They would be covering the display. We would make sure that they add that, but not actually detonation of the fireworks. Yeah, because there are some cities out there that their fire department will do that.
Mm-hmm. Farley does that.
Do you notice that the committee that puts that on gets any types of insurance certificates or anything?
This came up as we were doing renewal documents and filling that out. It's kind of because it is on our property, it's not really it's not our staff, it's not really a city event, but but Peosta Days also doesn't exist as a legal entity, so probably could use another look. And we were literally discussing this like the week Peosta Days was going on, but.
Yeah, another city that same situation, they actually have a, you know, I'll just use Peostas, you know, that Peosta City Days, whatever, they have their own insurance, and then that city requires that, you know, City of Peosta Days to provide a certificate to the City of Peosta showing that they have coverage, okay? And we, you know, obviously, it's tough. You guys want to do the best for the city, you want to have to put on a good display, so you also don't want to nickel and dime that committee to also go out and say, hey, we're going to make you go out and buy, you know, insurance and name us as an additional insured and waive us for any subrogation, you know, yada, yada, yada. They're going to have $1,500 or $2,000 wrapped up into an insurance policy, where a lot of times we can get this added on to the city. It's your guys' decision for a couple $100. So, the only other things I'll make note for ICAP versus Continental Western, okay? So ICAP gives you guys a $1,000 grant for the last couple of years. They've given that, you know, and I can't guarantee that they're going to give it moving forward. So that's something that they wanted me to make sure to point out for safety equipment, things of that nature. Okay. They also give you 5 hours of legal access, so that way, if anyone here wanted to reach out in regards to the legalities of anything, they have up to 5 hours. And they insure about 300 different cities. Okay. My concerns with Continental Western is I don't know their program like I know ICAP's. Okay, so I asked them, what have cities experienced? You know, what have renewals been? And they said over the last couple of years it's been about 1 or 2%. So pretty close to what ICAP's have been. Okay. My concern is they do have higher deductibles. Okay. I don't know also if there's a big concern on your guys' end for that cosmetic roof exclusion for the fire department. It's not a big concern of mine, but that's also a brand new building. Okay, so you just have to evaluate that. And then Continental Western, they have about 100 cities that are in their program. Okay, so it's not like we have a couple. And so I'm pretty confident with them. And I said, okay, my question to you is, since you've been doing this, the individual that handles the city program for Continental Western has been doing this for multiple years, 20 plus. I said, obviously, you're not going to be doing this and have 100 cities and not have the required coverages that you think for the cities. And he said, exactly. We do our best to make sure that our cities are taken care of. So, really, my recommendation is, I think either way you guys decide, I think it'll be comfortable. I can go through in great detail of all the equipment, the coverages that we have in place. I pointed out the biggest differences. Happy to address any questions, but I will refrain from really going line item by line item unless you guys would like me to.
What's the valuation of the buildings?
All
No. What I mean, the valuation, replacement costs,
the, oh, yes.
free
Yeah.
value.
Yep, it's all on replacement cost, yes.
And with Continental Western, there's no coverage for youth activities.
No, just the med pay. So
So if a kid gets hurt out there,
it's going to be still covered under liability, just no med pay. Does that make sense? Okay. So, I mean, easy examples like grocery stores, okay? The biggest concern is hey, someone elderly falls and slips, and we want to make sure they're taken care of, so we're going to just pay their medical bills, and, you know, hopefully they don't sue us, and so we're going to pay them, you know, $4,000, you know, a lot of times. I actually, for a lot of my customers, I have them remove it, just because I don't want you to be paying claims out of good faith. And again, there's two different opinions on this. If they want to bring a suit, you know, you guys have insurance for that. So. Other questions? The only last thing I would know is we got an indication for a cyber liability policy. The biggest difference is ICAP, they have their breach notification of $250,000, Continental Western is $25,000. Okay, if you ever do have a cyber incident, I don't think either one of those policies are going to do justification for you, so that's why I got an indication for you guys to consider if you actually want to get a full cyber policy from Travelers, where I think they're going to be better suited if you do have a major incident to help the city staff and walk through how to specifically handle a breach, who needs to be notified, how they need to be notified, because it could be that someone that lived here 10 years ago but now lives in Michigan, they're going to have different requirements than the state of Iowa does, and so it's critical you have a good cyber team to make sure that you guys are taken care of if you ever do have a breach. I hope it never happens, but unfortunately it's happening more and more, just even social engineering where, hey, this is, Adam Kearns and I'm your insurance agent. By the way, you didn't pay your premiums. Can you send me a check for, because it's public knowledge what we pay, and they asked for it. Well, it wasn't really Adam Kearns, and we just sent a check to, wherever. Okay, that's an example of social engineering. Okay, things of that nature. So, other questions, concerns about the program? I'll be quiet and let you guys talk now.
Do we not have a cyber liability policy?
So with ICAP, their limit is built into the actual general liability limit. Okay, but that's just for the third party. Okay, or the first party, excuse me. So that's going to be suits brought against you guys. Okay, but then the breach notification is going to be $250,000. It's hard to say, is that going to be sufficient? It just depends how big that breach is. Okay, but it's not a true cyber policy. It's just basically built into the ICAP program.
I'd like to see the firework thing be added. That way we're covered as far as the city and not have Peosta Days be liable for it. That'd be, since it is part of the city and we do it every year, and they're doing it out of good faith, donating their time and getting money, so.
Right, because who's the first one's gonna get sued, right?
Yeah, city.
The committee that's making a couple bucks in there.
And if it costs us 200 and them 2,000, it makes more sense for us to get it into ours. So.
Well, I think we should just stick with ICAP. We know them. Adam knows them. I know it's more money, but
I'm just thinking just the opposite.
I am too.
Go with the-
We got 2 open suits or 2 open.
Well, it's
claims.
$2,300. Right now, this would be a savings of $6,300. The $2,376 would bring us down to $3,960 in savings. That would save us enough money to get us a study done for the police station.
It would have. What's the
If you
second?
can save it that long, get it done.
Math is pretty quick. That's $900.
I'm a little leery of changing, but I didn't study it well enough to really give an opinion.
Do you want to table the next one so you have a chance to study it?
Well, it'd be nice to see what the pricing increases and everything would be too.
So this is my thoughts. So I gave you guys kind of the ins and outs. You can review anything. Come back to me with questions. Welcome. I want to make sure you guys feel comfortable with whatever decision you make.
You got your email, right?
Yeah, please do.
Might send you a bill.
I promise I will ask to make sure before I send any money. But it also will give us more time to try and close that claim out, right? And to push to get that. So that way you don't have to worry about, okay, we're trying to justify leaving $2,300 on the table, essentially. And if you guys are comfortable with the next meeting, this doesn't renew until November 1st. We don't need a lot of time to pull that trigger to make sure everything is in place. Okay, literally a day to get you new certificates, new ID cards, things of that nature. I wouldn't recommend tabling it to the end of the month for next year, but at least the first meeting in October should be sufficient, and then we'll at least know a little more details of where that claim is.
And you'd have more information as far as cyber liability through travelers.
Yeah, it'll take an application, so that indication is going to be fairly close at 3,200 to 3,900. And we can get the application over, get it completed, and then hopefully actually have a firm price of what that would look like.
So, but does the difference in the deductible mean anything to the price of when you come down to it?
Can you help me?
Like, the deductible on the ICAP is less for an occurrence than it is for So do we figure that in there?
Well, your savings is
Totally.
still more.
So
You're
I
saving-
think what
you're
she's
still
saying
saving
is,
money.
Yeah, I see what you're
if we
saying.
raise our deductible,
I see
will
how
our premium go down?
So where's our money,
Right.
you know what I mean?
So can
Your
you look at-
savings?
Right, can you take a look at how many claims we had this year as an average and say, okay, we paid
500 deductible.
two $500 deductibles and last year
Correct.
we paid $2,000 deductibles.
Two
I see what
$2,500
you're saying.
deductibles.
Can we play that into
Yeah,
the?
yeah, and I'll look into that, the claims, and then also, I'll just have ICAP run just basically the cost of, hey, if we raise it to $1,000, right, what is it gonna cost? So that way
Right.
you can kind of compare apples to apples as well, so.
I do like
Yeah,
the, I
what
do
that-
like the $5 million limit per occurrence. I like that a lot. I mean,
Is there any movement?
$1 million
with ICAP on it?
lawsuit does not go very far at all. I mean, in my world, in the claims that I deal with,
Does ICAP have
Truck
5
accident.
million, or is this, they're set in stone?
Yeah, this is set in
2 or
stone.
3.
The only
Okay.
way, the only way you can increase it is by increasing your excess essentially. And on the, I think it's the 4th page, you can see what those contributions would be each time you.
but
you add.
those X2 are all active.
Correct, yeah. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Basically, you're just buying more coverage in hopes that we don't have any big catastrophic events happen. I'm sorry.
Multiple.
Yes, yeah. Jerry, did you have a question?
Nope, that was it. Yeah.
So here's what I have on my list is to review the fireworks display to make sure if it's not included in here, at least it gives you guys a price of what that would be. Okay. Look at any claims that we've had for property over the last couple of years on average. I'll look at that and see, what would that cost us if we would have had a higher deductible. I'm going to look at $1,000 deductible with ICAP, and then also get the cyber app over to the staff to complete to get us a firm quote for the cyber coverage there. Other things that you guys would like to have me review in the meantime before the next meeting?
Should keep you busy enough.
That's actually pretty easy. So
Do we need a
the hard
motion?
part was done with. That was, and I will say, so just so you guys are aware, each time we looked at a company, it was about 14 to 20 pages of applications that the staff put together. And so they did a lot of work to make sure that we did our due diligence just to review this. And so it wasn't just Adam, it was the staff that did a nice job of, and so they basically put 35 pages of applications together for both EMC and Continental Western. So. Anything else that you need from me? And they didn't pay me to say that.
We need a motion to table this next meeting. I'll make a motion to table the ICAP renewal to the next meeting.
Caroline?
Karen, I.
Jerry, aye.
Kathy,
John,
I will just mention why I have your attention. Just today, we got the Delta Dental. It's not on the agenda, the renewal, but I wanted just to talk through that, and then you guys can approve it next meeting or whatever you guys decide to. Nothing changed in the plan, but it actually went down 15%. So great news. Just wanted to bring that to your attention, but I'll actually have the gals included in your packet for next meeting. So
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks, Adam.
thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
Okay, moving on. Resolution 2019-60. Resolution accepting the water main and sanitary sewer in East Peosta Industrial Park Number 4.
so Dean, have any comments on this at all? What's the resolution number?
60?
Make a motion, resolution 2019-60, resolution accepting the water main and sanitary sewer in East Peosta Industrial Park Number 4.
I'll second.
Caroline?
Karen, I.
Jerry, aye.
Kathy,
John,
Okay, resolution 2019-61. A resolution approving development agreement with AJ Spiegel Trust dated 2/26/13, authorizing annual appropriation tax increment payments and pledging certain tax increment revenues to the payment of the agreement.
Can you review or recap why we're doing the infrastructure part? Especially when we've gone to every other developer in town and said that we will run it to your property and it's your responsibility from there.
Yeah, so this was running the water and sewer to that property and around the property, looping so that it can be tapped into for further development. So this is what we discussed this in December and then again in March
Right.
and in May. So I guess I'm not really sure what your
At that time, we said it was like a bad precedent to move forward with this, and then we were wondering why the project was brought to us after the fact.
Well, whether the city pays for it, the city puts in infrastructure on its own, which is often like Bass Pro. That's how it's done. City business says, I will come if you bring infrastructure. City says, yes, puts it in. So that's one way of doing it. Another way.
Have we done this before?
Well,
Have we done that before?
I guess I've only worked here for about 11 months, so you guys are.
So
provide
this
a
is,
better
this is
precedent
taking
for
the
it.
infrastructure to the property and around the property.
Yes,
So
I
it's
guess.
nothing that we've never done before.
Yeah, so do you remember when we there was all the invoices and the costs, so like some of it was service
Right,
lines, some of
right,
it was
right.
labor. So this was just the material cost. I don't mean to be short, I guess, I don't, but we've walked through this in detail, but we do, I mean, it was several times, it was part of the urban renewal plan that was approved. So that was just the material, the hard cost of the pipe that we put in the ground, the mains, not the service lines, that provide service to that area. So I guess it is my understanding that that's why at that point the council moved by majority votes, moved this forward because these were mains that were installed, they weren't service line in, the labor costs and the service lines and the work that was done to the road was wholly taken on by the developer. This was just reimbursement for the
Materials.
cost.
Had we had to do this, it would have cost us considerably more to put this, to loop this water main.
At that time, we also talked about coming up with a TIF policy so that we would have that put together
Yep,
for developers.
absolutely.
And yeah, now it's 10 months later and we've done none of that. Can we
Yeah, no,
move forward on that? or-
100% right. So,
Right.
and that was also identified on the goal setting. And I did, yeah, I mean, right after we had that discussion, I found like 6 or 7 TIF policies. I sent them all to the council, said we can review them. But yeah, I can certainly admit to that I haven't moved anything forward past that. It's not for.
Well, I didn't know if it was something that as a group we should be discussing or if it was something that you were going to put together and bring to
Well,
us.
yeah, and I think it's absolutely a good idea. I mean, it's a great.
I mean, the sooner the better, I think.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right, and I apologize for not having that together sooner. Was not for a lack of things to do or laziness, but it was, just checking other boxes. So, yeah, I mean, that would provide that standard that is missing, which you're right about what has been done, what you can do. I mean, you don't want to be handcuffed by either, and then you guys can decide together.
Well, then it just it clears things up and
Right,
you don't
and
have a big mess every
And
time this.
Yep, and it's fair for everyone. Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, it would certainly make my job a whole lot easier, as well yours. And that's very common. I mean, that's what exists in big cities, and the GDVCs of the world, they said this to me specifically, they would love that because then they can market Peosta without saying, well, we think we might be able to get you this.
Right.
They say, look, here's a tip policy. I can get you 50% tax rebate for 10 years if you have X amount of jobs. Like, they can work harder for us. So, yeah.
Is there usually a TIF amount ratio to the job creation with projects?
Well, so there's different goals because some cities are more interested in bringing jobs, some cities are more interested in bringing valuation. So, you know, it just.
But there's no.
Well, yeah, you absolutely can correlate them. Some cities aren't so worried about jobs as, you know, just. If we can get $1 million building, then that's tax income for us. It doesn't matter if there's one job or 100 jobs.
Okay.
Some cities have, you know, if they're trying to build their industry, if they have housing they're trying to fill, if they're trying to public school district, then they might try to attract jobs more than they might.
And is
jobs.
that per community decision?
Yeah.
It's not a state of Iowa thing?
No,
or,
no. I mean,
okay.
the state offers incentives. They have like a high quality job incentive, which I know some of our businesses have participated in that, and that's what that almost always runs through GDC. You know, the large development courts can help you get those businesses can get tax credits for those, but then they often it's in their agreement though. It's all tied together. The state, the local government all says you have to retain this amount of jobs at this wage for this long, or you don't get this money. So we can certainly.
Okay. I just didn't know if there was a requirement.
Yeah, no, but I envision that we would have both. I guess I think because a tax base is really helpful to us, but we also want to keep bringing jobs here so that we can.
Right. Okay.
Yep, you are correct, and I will get to work on that.
I'll make a motion for resolution 61, resolution approving the development agreement between AG Spiegel Trust dated 2/26/13.
Second.
Karen,
Jerry, aye.
Kathy?
Kevin.
Okay. Third reading of ordinance 2019-07, an ordinance incrementally increasing sewer rates in the city of Peosta. Ordinance 2019-07.
might as well get it over with, huh?
I'll make a motion for ordinance number 2019-07, an ordinance incrementally increasing the sewer rates for the city of Peosta.
I'll second.
Carla,
Karen,
Jerry, aye.
Kathy, aye.
John.
Okay, adoption of ordinance 2019-07, an ordinance incrementally increasing sewer rates in the city of Peosta.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 2019-07.
I'll second.
Carla,
Karen,
Jerry, aye.
Kathy, aye.
John.
Other business?
Sorry, who moved? Kathy moved, and
I seconded.
I had a couple questions.
yeah.
Concerning that sign up here directing Birds Road, do we need to do something about that, or can we just tell Dean to maybe
Oh,
get
to get one?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we can just get it going.
everybody who's like at the rec center or at a reception or something, when they get up here to the intersection, they go straight. Nobody knows to turn, there's no directional sign up there, so.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
The other thing was that, guy that was here for the hotel that wanted the light in the back, are we doing anything about that, or?
I think, yeah, Dean took a look at it and he had a couple of recommendations, and so I think I'm just gonna call Mike Patel, that's the guy's name.
Yeah.
Move forward, yeah, he
Okay.
had two different options of things that could be either affix something else to an existing pole, or there could be a new pole, so I think he wants to, we need to get back with him and see maybe what they would prefer.
Oh, okay.
That'd be at his cost or
Well, I
ours?
think we were looking at cost, yeah.
Cost share.
sharing that, or figuring, depending on, you know, right, if it's utilizing ours, if there's a way to use some of our existing, so I think we were gonna try to work that out.
Okay.
I saw his signs in the front, yeah.
Yeah, is there a sign that says something about the pool? Is-
Yep.
Yeah.
Pool opening soon or something like that.
Huh.
Get that thing cleaned up, would be a good asset.
Yes.
And I asked him to mow the grass out front between the ramp and the front and the parking lot, and he did. He got that mowed down, so that looks quite a bit better.
Good.
Anything else?
Whitney, do we need to talk about our meeting that we had with the city, or excuse me, the PCC board?
Yeah, I actually have 3 sort of meetings we need to talk about. So the first, actually, though, I want to talk about the sewer 90% meeting. Eldon asked me to talk to you guys because he was planning to come to the second council meeting in December, which would be December 24th. And then Karen reminded me, usually hold the council meeting on that day. So, but that's, I mean, that's gonna be 90%, so it's kind of a big deal. I mean, he mentioned he can just do it at the progress meeting, and, you know, you don't all have to be there, but we know this is a pretty significant meeting. So, basically, we need to figure out when in December we want to,
You kind of
Yeah,
want it to
actually.
be a work session, not a meeting.
Do a work session, yeah.
yeah.
Gonna kind of kill me, but if this is a big deal, would it make sense to do it on a Saturday morning?
Yeah, I don't. You're the one with Saturday morning basketball playing, probably.
Kids don't like me.
Well, no, yeah, I mean, that's totally.
I'm just thinking if it's a big
I don't know. I mean,
deal,
he's going to be going through a lot. Yeah.
I don't want to rush through it and try to get it done in 2 hours and, and not get what we need out of it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that
And
it's
around
going to
him,
take
too.
longer than
Right,
2
right.
hours. I just think it's definitely going to be a lot. Like your brain's going to hurt by the time you're done with it, probably.
I just don't want to limit time on it.
Well, nothing else, check with him, throw out some dates, see what's
Okay.
available.
Yeah. I mean, he said he'll come whenever.
Preferably not close to Christmas, so.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, there was kind of a reason for a short time span, wasn't there? We had to get it after, was it after the 16th and before?
Yeah, what was it? Well, no,
There's
so,
something about
yeah, there's something about the 12th. We can't do it
12th?
before the 12th. They're not gonna be done. I think the 12th, 13th is when they're projecting to have them done. So then you have that week of 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Then next week's Christmas, next week's New Year's Eve. But the issue is, we need to review them, and then the council needs to formally approve them before they can get sent off to EDA, and they have to review them before we can let them out for bid. So once we get that done, I mean, it's all gonna start ticking at that point. So waiting till like the middle of January is not really an option for the existing timeline, I
Yeah,
guess.
so between the second and third week, somewhere in December, which I don't know how your calendar is.
Yes.
Saturday morning might be an idea. I don't know.
Is that something you want to decide now?
It doesn't have to be decided now, but, no, yeah, so why don't you guys take some time to, so John and I also attended the PCC meeting on Wednesday, and they're just really ready to continue the conversation that we started several months ago about, and I think seems to be a little more motivation behind it now. I mean, they're getting pressed up against some decisions they don't really feel like they have the capacity to make in terms of the building in the future and some of the projects they want to do. So, in what format do you want to use for that? I mean, we just held a work session last time, and that seemed to work pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Are there nights of the week that work better? I mean, I guess I don't know, do you like to just keep Tuesday, would you prefer to use an off Tuesday at the council, so it's just, Tuesdays are not good, nights, or would you rather, Wednesday or Thursday? What's your,
I think stick with Tuesdays.
Tuesdays work better.
okay. So maybe then we'll let them take a pick of a Tuesday that we're not already meeting.
In December, the week of the 16th is the week right before Christmas, so we're gonna look at that, and then, I don't know, Sunday is 15th, so 15th in the morning. It don't matter, whatever works for IAW too, I guess.
Okay.
As long as it gets us past that envelope or whatever you guys were talking about before. That window.
Anything else? Whitney?
The only other thing is my annual evaluation will actually need to be at the second meeting in October. Came very quickly, but you guys have never done this before. I have not done this before, so I think what other communities often do is, like, we'll have a regular meeting and then the last item would be closed session. So, I mean, does that sound like
Yeah.
I want this to work? I know
That'll work.
It'll be experimenting, basically.
Yeah.
All right. Well, like I said, we have about a month, but I just want to let you know if you have specific ideas about how you want that to go. Definitely let me know, because we're all new kids when it comes to this process. So we'll see. And I think Pat Callahan left some recommendations and some forms and stuff, so we'll try to utilize that. Okay, that was all I had.
If you do the PCC work session, do it on the 29th. That works for me. I'm off on the
29th of
October.
Well, you're arranged by schedule.
Well, I'm traveling that other week.
Okay. Yeah, I almost forgot what you looked like. Pretty sure.
Yeah.
Is that it? Citizen comment? AJ?
Oh, and I appreciate you doing camp drive, fixing that. Great improvement of what's done, very nice, really appreciate it. Thank you.
And hopefully, as soon as that wastewater treatment facility is done, we can do a permanent fix to it. Get it in real good shape.
Yeah. According to Dee, 5-year fix, so 5 years goes in a hell of a
Yep.
haircut.
Yep.
Thank you.
You bet. Nothing else?
This might be record setting. I'm going to compliment the police department on their increased patrol in problematic areas in the last couple months. And in that same vein, I asked the question of the council, how much are those speed readers, you know, the
lit signs?
those signs?
Yeah.
So, could I answer?
Yes,
Thank you very much.
absolutely.
I am telling my people to be out and about and to do more traffic and let the public see it. We are, as in Whitney and I, are working on getting more speed signs. That's in effect right now, and those will be coming very soon.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, there's going to be 5 of them coming, 4 signs and then 5 poles total. And it'll be in the school areas right in front of the school. But it is coming, and hopefully in time we can add more.
Yeah, you notice that they're very helpful too.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah, I think they
people
work.
don't realize.
Right, I do believe they work also.
Yeah, they should be installed in the next few months. We're waiting, we have to wait for DOT approval. That doesn't come quickly, but. Good, thank you.
Okay. Anything else, Gary?
I just want to know if the council has any questions. The Birch family had sent a proposal to the council 5 weeks ago, and I haven't heard a peep out of them. We're kind of on a deadline to get something done, so I'll be talking to Whitney after the meeting, but I just wanted to make the council aware of it too. So.
Yeah, no, I don't think anybody's got any comments. Yeah? Anybody? Not at this time, we don't know.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Gary.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
And, Fireman Park will be open tomorrow morning.
Good.
You get the poll?
Got the
Kathy?
poll, it was cemented in place.
Yeah, John.
Kathy.
We are adjourned. Night, AJ. Thank you.